Sure, you've been on a plane before, but I can guarantee you've never been on one of these things before. The airplane you probably flew on was some boring commercial airliner that's basically just a tin can that can fly. These 10 weird air flight contraptions look like they were drawn by a 10-year-old.
Amazing!
Number 10. Aerodyne. This strange airplane was created for vertical takeoff and landing, like a helicopter. Its first ever flight was in 1972, and while it was a success, the West German government that had developed it lost interest in the project. The idea behind the Aerodyne was to combine the creation of lift and thrust with a single unit and flow channel, just like a ducted fan does. Flaps at the end of the fan divert the air, thus producing lift and thrust. Earlier designs of the Aerodyne included a cockpit. However, only unmanned versions were ever created and tested. Somehow, the idea of a whale shark-looking plane flying around without a pilot is even weirder. Number 9. VO V173. Nicknamed the Flying Pancake for obvious reasons, the VO V173 was created for the World War II Pacific Theater. The demand for shipborne planes that could take off from short runways was at an all-time high, due to the US's need to take out various islands where the Japanese had built bases. Famed pilot Charles Lindbergh once took the Flying Pancake for a spin and described it as being surprisingly easy to handle, but this wasn't the first pancake plane. Back in 1934, the Nemeth Parasol paved the way and proved that circular-winged aircraft could indeed get off the ground and fly, just like boring airplanes with normal wings. The Nemeth Parasol was a very petite plane. One newspaper at the time reported that it would be ideal for landing in your backyard. You wouldn't even need a hangar necessarily if you had a giant garage. The problem with these planes, however, is that they're not as efficient as normal winged aircraft. Number 8. Snecma Flying Coleopter. Coleopter means beetle in French and is descended from the Greek for sheathed wing. It's easy to see why this is a pretty appropriate name. Developed by the French company Snecma in the 50s, this single-person aircraft was designed to take off and land vertically, like the Aerodyne. Unfortunately for those hard-working French scientists, the only prototype was destroyed on its 9th flight. And while the Coleopter may have died, the dream of a plane that could replace helicopters did not. The Edgeloptica succeeded where its French forebearer failed. While it cannot take off vertically, it can actually fly. It was designed for low-speed observation type work, with a loiter speed of only 80 miles per hour and a stall speed of just 67 miles per hour. The plane's unique cockpit, designed for maximum visibility, has led to it being nicknamed the Bug Eye. Number 7. Barynibori EV VV VV14. The Barynibori EV VV VV14 Vertikal Vlezesuke Amphibia is the plane with the longest and possibly coolest name in this list. Only 2 were ever built, probably because people were tired of having to say the full name. Developed by the Soviet Union during the 70s, it was designed to be able to take off from both the water and fly fast for a long time. The reason it sort of looks like a space shuttle is because it was supposed to fly at high altitude, but also still be able to fly just above the sea surface. It was created because the Soviets thought that they needed something that could destroy American missile submarines, and I guess they wanted to get creative with it. When Italian-born designer Robert Bartini died in 1974, the project slowed, and eventually ended with the plane having flown 107 flights. The only remaining unit was retired to the Russian Federation Central Air Force Museum in 1987. It lives there to this very day if you ever feel like taking a visit. Number 6. The Super Guppy. The Aerospace Line Super Guppy is a large, wide, some might even say thick, aircraft that is used for hauling oversized cargo components. And yes, I did just use present tense there. This thing is actually currently in operation. 5 have been built, and they are colloquially known as simply Super Guppy. They're operated by NASA as transport aircraft for their specialist equipment. The first Super Guppy was created directly from the fuselage of a C-97J Turbo Stratocruiser, which is the military version of the Boeing 377 passenger plane, and was used in both the Korean and Vietnam Wars. The fuselage was extended to 141 feet, and the inside diameter was stretched out to 25 feet, and thus the Super Guppy was born. They are manned by a 4-person crew and can carry 54,500 pounds. Number 5. The Blom Voss BV14. This World War II Nazi tactical reconnaissance aircraft is proof that apparently planes don't need to be symmetrical. While the Blom Voss did perform well, it was never put into full-scale production because the preferred engine was unavailable, and because it was generally outclassed by the Focke-Wulf FW-189. The plexiglass crew gondola on the starboard side of the plane housed the pilot, the observer, and the rear gunner. The fuselage on the other side led from the BMW radial engine to a tail unit. While it might look like the uneven weight would make the plane roll like crazy and cause those crazy Nazis to fall right out of the sky, its weight was evenly supported by lift from its wings. Between 13 and 28 were built, but none survive today. And if you have a burning desire to see a plane in real life that looks like that one ship from Cloud City in Star Wars, then you'll have to go find the White Knight II, which very much still exists and was used to lift the Spaceship Two spacecraft to release altitude. Number 4. Piaggio P180 Avanti. This odd-looking plane that seems to have put its wings in the wrong place is an Italian executive transport aircraft with twin turboprop engines in what's known as a pusher configuration. It can seat up to 9 people in a pressurized cabin and can be operated by 1 or 2 pilots. It has a small forward wing, a conventional tailplane, and a main wing. It set National Aeronautic Association transcontinental speed records by going an average of 475 knots, or 546 miles per hour, breaking the previous Los Angeles to New York turboprop record of 395 knots that was set back in 1986 in a Piper Cheyenne 400 LS. Created as a plane for super rich people to fly around in, a Piaggio P180 Avanti will set you back over $7 million. If you're looking for something a little cheaper, you may want to look into the Beechcraft Starship, a similar plane with similarly weirdly placed wings that only cost $3.9 million. Number 3. Pzl M15 Belphegor. The Pzl M15 was a jet-powered biplane created by WSK Pzl Milek in Poland for use in the Soviet Union as an agricultural plane. It was dubbed the Belphegor due to its strange appearance and very noisy engine. Belphegor is a legendary demon who would trick people into thinking that their inventions would make them rich. He was the chief demon in charge of the sin of laziness, as well as being Hell's ambassador to the country of France. So that tells you a bit about what people thought of the aircraft. Production of the ill-fated aircraft began in 1976. The Soviets planned to order as many as 3,000 of them, but the Belphegors proved to be very disappointing. The jet was not economical, and production was shut down after just 175 were ever built. The Belphegor is thought to be the world's only jet agricultural plane, the only jet biplane, and the slowest jet ever put into mass production. Its creators are probably not thrilled about any of these titles. Number 2. Sikorsky S70. The Sikorsky S70 was an experimental crossbreed between a helicopter and a fixed-wing aircraft. The idea was that you could put helicopter blades on top when you wanted to be able to take off vertically, and hover around like a helicopter, and you could just take them off and be a plane when you wanted to be a plane. Its emergency extraction system was unique among helicopters for the time. The system would fire explosive bolts that actually cut off the main rotor blades. Panels would get blown off the roof of the aircraft, and then the crew was ejected with rockets. The Sikorsky may remind you of the much more famous V-22 Osprey, which is by far the most iconic aircraft on this list. It is also, however, the most controversial. Michael E. O'Hanlon, a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution, has said that its production costs are considerably greater than for helicopters with equivalent capability, specifically about twice as great as for the CH-53E, which has a greater payload and an ability to carry heavy equipment the V-22 cannot. Essentially, many have claimed that the government wasted a huge amount of money on a plane that could do what a helicopter can do, when they could have just stuck to making helicopters, but it looks cool? Number 1. CGTFF. Looking at these pictures, you are undoubtedly asking yourself why someone has decided to put another engine on what was a perfectly good run-of-the-mill Boeing 747. Are they trying to make it go faster? Are they just trying to make it look cooler? Not really. What they're really doing is testing their latest geared turbofan engine, the PW1200G, for a different project. And they've decided that the best way to do that is to stick it onto a specifically designed stub wing attached to a Boeing 747 that they bought as essentially a giant flying testbed. The high altitude, long flights, and wide speed range capabilities make it perfect for being a testbed. The wacky-looking stub wing that houses the test unit can also be fitted with other engines that need to be tested. It's located just behind the co-pilot seat to allow for proper airflow around the aircraft's nose, and also creates just enough lift to counterbalance its weight so that it doesn't affect the normal balance and performance of the aircraft. All it has to do is produce thrust so that it can be tested normally. So you may have laughed at first, but this weird thing is doing important work while you're watching YouTube videos and eating Doritos. Hopefully you appreciated all of these strange flying contraptions and will feel a bit safer the next time you're flying on a normal airplane. Which plane did you think was the most bizarre, and are there any others you would have put in this list? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching.